Welcome to HOA Karen Patrol. I did not raise my voice, I raised my receipts. I need you to take a breath and listen for just a moment, because what I am about to share is going to sound unbelievable, but every word of it is true, and I have the proof to back it up. You are not allowed to ignore the process. That is what Monica Pierce screamed at me in the mailbox cluster on a Tuesday afternoon in February, waving a clipboard in a clear plastic sleeve like it was a weapon. She was the gate access coordinator for Harbor Point Residential Association in Portland, Oregon, and she had just accused me of stealing packages from the clubhouse mailroom and a pair of sunglasses from a neighbor's car console. I did not take anything. I am a nurse. I work 12-hour shifts at the hospital. I do not have time to steal sunglasses. But Monica did not care about facts. She cared about control. The HOA did not need evidence to enforce, just complaints. That is what she told me when I asked her to show me proof. She said 3 people on my street had reported missing items in the past 2 weeks, and since I was the only one who had been seen near the clubhouse storage closet during off hours, I was the obvious suspect. I asked why only my street was being accused, and she said I was being defensive. That was the trigger. That single sentence turned a ridiculous accusation into a full-blown HOA witch hunt. Monica claimed she had spoken to a clerk at the management office who confirmed her story. But when I called the office myself an hour later, the clerk said otherwise. She told me Monica had never asked her anything about thefts and that the only complaints on file were about gate access codes being shared, not stolen property. Monica had lied. She had fabricated a witness to give herself credibility, and now she was threatening me with a no trespass warning from the clubhouse and office areas if I did not cooperate with her investigation. I stood there in the drizzle, holding my mail and a spare doorbell camera mounting plate I had picked up from a neighbor, trying to process what was happening. Monica was not just accusing me, she was building a case. She had already posted a community warning on the HOA portal about a thief in the neighborhood, and while she did not use my name, she included my street and unit number range. Everyone knew it was me. My phone started buzzing with texts from neighbors asking if I was okay, if the rumors were true, if I needed help. I did not know what to say. I did not steal anything, but Monica was making it look like I had. She told me I had until Friday to return the stolen items and apologize, or she would escalate to the full HOA board and recommend a formal hearing. She said the board took theft seriously and that I could face fines, restricted access, or even a lawsuit if the items were not recovered. I asked her what items she was talking about. She rattled off a list: 2 Amazon packages, a pair of designer sunglasses, a reusable shopping bag, and a set of spare clubhouse keys. I had never seen any of those things. I told her that. She smiled and said, "You do not get special treatment." That was her catchphrase. She said it every time someone questioned her authority, and she was about to say it a lot more. I went home and started gathering proof. I checked my work schedule. I had been on shift during 2 of the alleged theft windows. I pulled up my badge swipe logs from the hospital, printed them, and put them in a manila folder with a printed timeline of my whereabouts for the past month. I also checked my doorbell camera footage. I had installed a basic camera after a package delivery issue last year, and it covered my front porch and part of the walkway. I scrolled back through the recordings and found something interesting. On the day Monica claimed I was seen near the clubhouse storage closet, I was on camera at my own front door, signing for a delivery at the exact time she said I was in the clubhouse. The timestamp was clear. I saved the clip and backed it up to 3 separate cloud accounts. But I did not stop there. I reached out to a neighbor named Eric, who lived 2 buildings over. Eric had been framed by Monica the previous summer over a parking violation that turned out to be a clerical error. He had kept every email, every notice, every text exchange. He told me Monica had a pattern. She would pick a target, manufacture a complaint, escalate it publicly, and then back off only when someone threatened legal action. He said she had done it to at least 4 other residents in the past 2 years, and that the management company had quietly settled 2 disputes rather than deal with the fallout. Eric offered to help me document everything and to testify if it came to that. I thanked him and added him to my list of allies. Thursday morning, Monica escalated. She posted another message on the HOA portal, this time with a photo. The photo showed a clear plastic storage bin in a restricted area of the clubhouse, and inside the bin were several items: a torn Amazon mailer, a reusable shopping bag, a key ring, and a pair of sunglasses. The caption read, "Evidence recovered from unauthorized access area. Investigation ongoing." She did not say who the bin belonged to, but she tagged my building number in the post. My phone exploded. Neighbors were messaging me, asking if I had a statement, if I was going to respond, if I was guilty. I felt my chest tighten. I could not breathe. This was not just an accusation anymore. This was a public execution. I called the management office and demanded to speak to someone above Monica. The receptionist put me on hold for 6 minutes, then transferred me to a property manager named Diane. Diane sounded exhausted. She told me the HOA board was aware of the situation and that they were reviewing the complaint. I asked her if they had any actual evidence tying me to the thefts. She paused. She said Monica had provided a written statement and the photo, but that no one had verified the contents of the bin or confirmed where it came from. I asked if I could see the bin in person. She said it was being held in the management office and that I could schedule a time to view it with a witness present. I scheduled an appointment for Friday afternoon. Friday morning, I woke up to another shock. A bright orange warning tag was zip-tied to my car windshield in the parking lot. The tag had no readable text, just a bold header and a barcode, but I recognized the format. It was a towing warning from the HOA's contracted tow company. Monica was threatening to tow my car within the hour, and a driver was already circling the lot in a flatbed truck. I ran outside in my hoodie and bucket hat, still holding my coffee, and flagged down the driver. He was a middle-aged guy with a clipboard and a bored expression. I asked him why my car was being towed. He said the HOA had called in a violation for unauthorized parking in a fire lane. I looked at my car. It was in my assigned spot, clearly marked with my unit number. I showed him my parking pass. He shrugged and said he was just following orders. I pulled out my phone and called the tow company directly. The dispatcher confirmed that Monica had placed the tow order herself, claiming my car was blocking emergency access. I told the dispatcher that was not true and that I had photos proving my car was in the correct spot. The dispatcher put me on hold. 2 minutes later, she came back and canceled the tow. She said someone from the HOA would need to reauthorize it with proper documentation. I thanked her and hung up. The driver got back in his truck and left. I stood there in the rain, shaking with adrenaline. Monica was not just lying anymore. She was weaponizing vendors to intimidate me at my door. I went to the management office at 2 in the afternoon. Diane met me in the lobby with Eric as my witness. Monica was already there, standing near the front desk with her clipboard and her gray rain jacket, wearing a blue bucket hat and a smug expression. She saw me and immediately started talking. She said I was not allowed to be in the office without an appointment, that I was violating the no trespass warning she had issued, and that she was calling security. Diane cut her off. She said I had an appointment and that Monica needed to step back. Monica ignored her. She walked up to me, inches from my face, and pulled out her phone. She started filming me on a gimbal, narrating her accusation in real time. This is the individual who has been stealing from the community. He is here to intimidate staff and interfere with the investigation. Note his refusal to cooperate. Note his aggressive posture. She was lying on camera. I was standing still, holding my folder of evidence, not saying a word. Eric stepped between us and told her to back up. Monica kept filming. She pointed the phone at Diane and demanded that she confirm Monica's story out loud. Diane refused. She told Monica to put the phone away or leave the building. Monica sneered and said, "Everyone agrees with me. I have messages." She waved her phone like it was proof. Diane asked Monica to show her the evidence bin. Monica hesitated. She said it was in a secure location and that only authorized personnel could access it. Diane said she was authorized personnel and that she wanted to see it now. Monica tried to change the subject. She said the real issue was my refusal to admit guilt, that I was wasting everyone's time and that the board was going to hold me accountable. Diane ignored her and walked to a storage closet behind the front desk. She unlocked it and pulled out the clear plastic bin. She set it on the counter. Eric and I stepped forward. The bin was exactly as it appeared in the photo. Torn mailer, shopping bag, key ring, sunglasses. But there was something else. Underneath the sunglasses was a small printed label with a date and a name. The date was 3 weeks ago. The name was Monica Pierce. Diane picked up the label and read it out loud. She asked Monica why her name was on the bin. Monica said it was a mistake, that someone must have mislabeled it, that it did not prove anything. Diane opened the bin and pulled out the key ring. She held it up. The keys were labeled with tags that read Clubhouse Master and Storage Access. Diane asked Monica why she had the master keys in a bin, labeled with her own name. Monica said she was holding them for safekeeping. Diane asked why they were in a restricted area where only leadership had access. Monica did not answer. If you are enjoying this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild HOA drama and neighborhood justice tales. Eric pulled out his phone and took photos of the bin, the label, and the keys. I opened my folder and handed Diane my printed timeline and the doorbell camera screenshot. I explained that I was on camera at my own home during the time Monica claimed I was in the clubhouse. I also showed her my hospital badge swipe logs, proving I was at work during 2 of the other alleged theft windows. Diane reviewed the documents. She looked at Monica. She asked her if she had any response. Monica tried to grab the folder. She said it was her job to review evidence, that I was interfering with procedure, and that she needed to confiscate the paperwork. Diane blocked her. She told Monica to sit down and be quiet. Monica lost it. She started yelling. She said the HOA did not need to follow rules for people like me, that complaints were enough, that she had the authority to enforce without evidence. She pointed at a camera lens mounted on the lobby ceiling and claimed it was proof I had been in the building during restricted hours. Diane walked over to the camera, checked the access log on the front desk computer, and confirmed that I had not entered the building during any restricted hours in the past month. Monica said the log was wrong, that someone had tampered with it, that I must have hacked the system. Eric laughed out loud. He said Monica was inventing conspiracies because she knew she was caught. Diane asked Monica one more time to explain the bin. Monica said she had found the items in the clubhouse and was holding them until she could identify the owner. Diane asked why the items matched the exact description of the thefts Monica had reported. Monica said it was a coincidence. Diane asked why Monica had not reported finding the items to the management office. Monica said she was conducting her own investigation. Diane asked why Monica had posted a public accusation against me without verifying the evidence. Monica said she did not need to verify anything, that complaints were enough. Diane shook her head. She told Monica to leave the office immediately and to stop posting on the HOA portal until the board completed a formal review. Monica refused to leave. She said she had authority as gate access coordinator and that Diane was overstepping. Diane picked up the desk phone and called the non-emergency police line. She told the dispatcher that she had a disruptive individual refusing to leave a property management office and that she needed an officer to assist with a trespass warning. Monica's face went white. She grabbed her clipboard and her phone and stormed toward the door. As she reached for the handle, a deputy walked in. He had been responding to a separate call in the complex and had heard the radio chatter. He asked what was going on. Diane explained the situation. The deputy looked at Monica and asked her to step outside. Monica tried to argue. The deputy cut her off. He told her to stop interrupting and to either leave voluntarily or be escorted. Monica left. The deputy stayed for another 10 minutes to take statements. Eric and I explained everything. We showed him the doorbell camera footage, the timeline, the badge logs, and the photos of the bin with Monica's name on it. The deputy wrote it all down and gave us an incident number. He said it was a civil matter and that we would need to work with the HOA board and management to resolve it, but that the documentation would be helpful if it escalated further. He also told Diane that if Monica came back and caused another disturbance, the office could pursue a formal trespass charge. Diane thanked him. He left. Diane turned to me and apologized. She said the management company had received multiple complaints about Monica over the past year, but that the board had been reluctant to act because Monica was a longtime volunteer and had strong relationships with some of the older owners. She said this incident crossed a line and that she would be recommending immediate suspension of Monica's access coordinator role, pending a full investigation. She also said the HOA would be required to preserve records and stop deleting portal uploads, because there was evidence that some of Monica's posts had been edited or removed after complaints. I asked Diane if she knew why Monica had targeted me specifically. Diane sighed. She said Monica had a history of accusing newer owners whenever there was a problem she could not explain, and that my building had been flagged for gate code sharing violations earlier in the year, even though those violations were never substantiated. I left the office with Eric. We walked back to my building in silence. I felt a mix of relief and anger. Relief because I had cleared my name. Anger because Monica had put me through hell for no reason. Eric told me not to celebrate yet. He said Monica would try to retaliate and that I needed to stay vigilant. He was right. The next day, Monica posted one more message on the HOA portal before her access was suspended. She claimed the investigation had been compromised by biased staff and that she was being silenced for doing her job. She repeated her threat about the no trespass warning and said I would not be allowed in the clubhouse or office areas until the board cleared me. She ended the post with her catchphrase, "You do not get special treatment." But this time, it backfired. 3 neighbors replied directly to the post, calling her out for harassment and asking why she had a bin with stolen items labeled with her own name. Another neighbor shared a screenshot of the portal's audit log, showing that Monica had edited her original theft post twice to remove references to specific dates and times. The log proved that Monica had been moving goalposts and changing her story as I provided evidence. The post went viral inside the community. Within 2 hours, the board president emailed the entire HOA, announcing that Monica's volunteer position was suspended and that a special hearing would be scheduled to review her conduct. I spent the next week compiling every piece of evidence I had. I printed the doorbell camera footage with timestamps. I printed the badge logs. I printed the photos of the bin. I printed the incident report number from the deputy. I printed the email from Diane confirming that Monica had lied about the clerk. I put it all in a 3-ring binder with tabbed sections and a cover letter summarizing the timeline. Eric helped me draft the letter. He also connected me with another neighbor who had been accused by Monica 2 years earlier and had successfully gotten a formal apology from the board. That neighbor gave me copies of her own evidence file, which included emails showing that Monica had a habit of filing complaints without verifying facts and then deleting portal posts when challenged. The special hearing was scheduled for a Thursday evening at the clubhouse. I arrived early with Eric. The room was packed. At least 30 residents showed up, some to support me, some to watch the drama, and some who had their own grievances with Monica. The board president opened the meeting and explained the process. He said the board had reviewed my evidence and Monica's statements, and that they had also interviewed Diane and other management staff. He said the board had reached a conclusion, but that Monica would be given a chance to respond first. Monica walked in 10 minutes late, still wearing her gray rain jacket and carrying her clipboard. She refused to sit down. She stood at the front of the room and launched into a prepared statement. She said I had orchestrated a smear campaign against her, that I had manipulated evidence, and that the board was making a mistake by believing me over a long-time volunteer. She said she had messages from multiple residents supporting her, and that the board was ignoring the community's voice. She pulled out her phone and tried to read the messages out loud. The board president stopped her. He said the board had already reviewed all submitted correspondence and that no messages supported her version of events. Monica said he was lying. She said she had receipts. She tried to hold up her phone screen to show the messages. The board president asked her to sit down. Monica refused. She said the board was corrupt and that she would be filing a lawsuit. The board president gavelled for order. He told Monica that if she did not sit down and stop disrupting the meeting, she would be removed from the clubhouse. Monica kept talking. She pointed at me and said I was the real thief, that I had planted the bin in the storage closet, and that the deputy had been fooled by my lies. A neighbor in the back row stood up and shouted that Monica was delusional. Another neighbor yelled that Monica owed everyone an apology. The board president gavelled again. He said the board had reached a decision and that Monica's interruptions were not going to change it. He read the decision out loud. The board had concluded that Monica had violated multiple HOA policies, including filing false complaints, harassing a resident, misusing HOA resources, and failing to follow proper procedures. The board had also determined that the bin of stolen items belonged to Monica based on the label, the location, and the key access logs. A key log review that proves only leadership had access. The board was immediately terminating Monica's volunteer position as gate access coordinator, issuing a formal apology to me, voiding all fines and threats she had issued, and implementing a no-contact directive prohibiting Monica from communicating with me or posting about me on any HOA platform. The board was also referring the matter to local police for a potential theft investigation, because the items in the bin matched descriptions of reported missing property from multiple residents. Monica screamed. She said the board had no authority to remove her, that she was elected by the community, and that she would appeal. The board president corrected her. He said gate access coordinator was an appointed volunteer position, not an elected role, and that the board had full authority to remove her at any time. He also said that if Monica continued to harass me or interfere with HOA operations, the board would pursue a restraining order and a lawsuit for defamation. Monica grabbed her clipboard and stormed toward the door. As she reached for the handle, the board president added one more consequence. He said the management office had reviewed the incident from the previous week and had decided to issue a formal trespass warning to Monica, barring her from entering the management office lobby or the clubhouse without prior written approval from the board. Monica gets trespassed from the management office lobby after a meltdown. She froze. She turned around and stared at the board president. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. She left. The room erupted in applause. Neighbors stood up and shook my hand. Eric clapped me on the back. The board president thanked me for my patience and for documenting everything so thoroughly. He said the board would be implementing new procedures to prevent similar incidents in the future, including mandatory verification of complaints before any public notices were posted, and a formal appeals process for residents who were accused of violations. He also said the HOA is required to preserve records and stop deleting portal uploads, and that the board would be conducting an audit of Monica's past complaints to identify any other residents who may have been falsely accused. I went home that night and collapsed on my couch. I had won, but I was exhausted. The whole ordeal had taken 3 weeks of my life. I had missed shifts at the hospital. I had lost sleep. I had spent hours compiling evidence and preparing for confrontations. But it was worth it. I had cleared my name, and I had exposed Monica for what she really was: a bully who used her HOA position to steal from neighbors and frame anyone who got in her way. 2 weeks later, the police completed their investigation. They confirmed that the items in the bin belonged to multiple residents, including the sunglasses that had been reported stolen from a car console. They also found evidence that Monica had used her access coordinator keys to enter the clubhouse storage closet and the mailroom during off hours, and that she had been taking small items over a period of several months. The police charged her with theft and trespassing. The HOA board voted to support prosecution and to cooperate fully with the investigation. Monica tried one more time to retaliate. She hired a lawyer and sent a demand letter to the HOA, claiming defamation and wrongful termination. The board forwarded the letter to their own attorney, who responded with a detailed rebuttal, including copies of all the evidence I had provided, the police report, and witness statements from Diane, Eric, and several other residents. Monica's lawyer dropped the case within a week. The final humiliation came a month later. The board held a community meeting to discuss new security measures for the clubhouse. During the meeting, the board president played a recording that had been submitted anonymously. The recording was from Monica's phone, captured during one of her confrontations with me in the management office. In the recording, Monica repeated her threat about the no trespass warning and said, "I do not care if you have proof. I have authority, and that is all that matters." Everyone in the room heard it. The board president explained that the recording had been found on Monica's own phone during the police investigation, and that it confirmed She had been abusing her position for personal vendettas. A stash container is opened in front of everyone, and Karen cannot explain it. The metaphorical stash of her own recorded words, laid bare for the entire community. Monica repeats a threat, and everyone hears it on the recording. It was the final nail. The board implemented new rules. All HOA volunteers would be required to undergo background checks and training on proper procedures. All complaints would be logged and verified before any action was taken. All portal posts by volunteers would be reviewed by management before publication. And any resident who felt they had been falsely accused could request a formal review with access to all documentation and a neutral third-party mediator. I never saw Monica again. I heard through Eric that she moved out of Harbor Point a few months later. She sold her unit and left Portland. The new gate access coordinator was a retired teacher named Helen who actually followed the rules and treated people with respect. The clubhouse mailroom got new locks and a security camera system. The management company hired additional staff to handle disputes. And I got my life back. Looking back, I realized the whole thing could have been avoided if the HOA had proper checks and balances from the start. Monica was able to terrorize residents for years because no one questioned her authority and because the board was too afraid of conflict to hold her accountable. But once someone stood up with evidence and refused to back down, the whole system had to respond. I am glad I kept records. I am glad I had Eric and the other neighbors who supported me. And I am glad I did not let Monica's lies define me. The doorbell camera was the key piece of evidence, but it was not the only one. The timeline, the badge logs, the bin with Monica's name, the portal audit showing her edits, the key log proving leadership access, the deputy's incident report, the clerk's statement, the recording on her own phone. All of it together painted a picture that even the most reluctant board member could not ignore. Monica had counted on intimidation and confusion to protect her. She had assumed that no one would take the time to gather proof and that the board would side with a longtime volunteer over a newer owner. She was wrong. I still live in Harbor Point. I still go to the clubhouse. I still get my mail from the cluster. But now, when I walk past the management office or the storage closet, I remember what happened, and I remember that I stood up and fought back with the truth. I proved that HOA bullies are not invincible, and that documentation and persistence can beat intimidation every time. If you are dealing with a similar situation, my advice is simple. Keep records, stay calm, find allies, and never stop pushing for accountability. The system is slow and frustrating, but it works if you give it the evidence it needs. Monica thought she could steal, lie, and manipulate her way through the neighborhood, but she underestimated one thing. She underestimated the power of a nurse with a doorbell camera and a folder full of receipts. I am glad you made it to the end.